Continuing with surface area, today we're going to cover the surface area of cylinders, spheres, and hemispheres. The first one, the surface area, and I'm going to remind you that we've talked before about volume, and volume is how much this container or this cylinder will hold. If we filled it with water, sand, whatever, that would be the volume of this. We've been talking the last 2 days about surface area, and that is just the area on the surface. Okay, y'all? It's just the area that if I was looking at this, I would paint the outside. I would paint the top and the bottom, turn it over, paint the bottom, top and bottom and the sides, but nothing on the inside or how much it holds. Okay? Now, if you look at your formula chart, if you look down where we were yesterday, it says surface area, but it's kind of in the middle of your formula chart, and it says surface area and volume. So you've got two different formulas for each one of these solids. So be sure that you're looking at the surface area, and it says SA, surface area. Okay, this is the formula that they give you for the cylinder. So what we're going to do, this is number 1 on your worksheet. We're on page 9, and it looks like this. It's the one on the board. It says find the surface area of each cylinder, and they do tell us in the instructions to use 3.14 for pi instead of using the pi button. So what we're going to do, I suggest that you always write the formula the way it is on your chart first. That way you don't miss plugging in any numbers. So we need to write down the 2. And then remember, when they're crammed together, it's times. So I have times 3.14 times R stands for radius. Now, when you stop here, you want to think, did they give me the radius, or did they give me the diameter and I need to cut it in half? Remember, don't just use numbers because they happen to be there. You need to make sure that the radius only goes from the center to the outside of the circle. All right. And so in this case, they did give us the radius, which is 15. And then the height of the cylinder, 28, plus, am I still on the screen? Okay. Plus 2 times 3.14 times 15 squared. Now we have all the numbers that we need. Let's move this a little. There you go. Now we have all the numbers. And if you're careful, you actually could put every bit of this in the calculator at one time. Okay, I'm going to do the first part in the calculator and then the second part. 15 squared, 225. You really need to do that first. So the first part, I have 2 times 3.14 times 15 times 28. So I have 2637.6 plus, and now I'm going to do the other part. 2 times 3.14 times, we found out that 15 squared is 225. So I have 1413, keep me honest, okay? Plus 2637.6. So the total surface area here would be 4050.6. The units are inches, and since it says area is always in square units. Is this what you got?
Yeah.
Are there any questions on this?
No.
Probably the hardest part of This is just understanding what the picture is and then finding the correct formula. Understanding what each letter in the formula means, it's a done deal. Okay? And you all will have a formula chart in the test. You will have a calculator in the test, pencil. Hopefully you're bringing some peppermints because that helps spark the synapses connections in your brain, keeps you awake. Okay? And then I want you to be calm when you go into your test. You've got to be calm. Do not cram the day of the test. And the day before, I want you to stop studying early, do something that helps you relax, and then go to bed and get a good night's sleep, okay? You've got to go in with a different attitude in your brain, okay? You need to renew your mind where the test isn't a matter of life and death. You're going to go in, I've studied. Now, let's see what I can do. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any more questions with the surface area of a cylinder? Do I need to do another one? I want you to look with me on number 3. I won't do this, but look at number 3 right here. Number 3 did not give you the radius. So you're going to have to take the diameter and divide it by 2. So the R in the formula that you're going to use is only 18. Do not use 36. You'll get the wrong answer. Okay. You must know the difference between the radius and the diameter. Your formula calls for the radius. Everybody good? I'm hearing yes. Everybody
Yes.
fine with cylinders?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next page, page 10, just gives you a variety of these. So you'll know how to go back and forth and choose the right formula for the surface area. Remember, everything we're doing in this packet is surface area. Okay. So is page 11. Let's go to the surface area of a cone, page 12. This is the page I'm going to be working on now. Up at the top, it says integers ES1, surface area of a cone. Up here, integers ES1. Okay, let's do number 1. We're finding surface area, but this time a cone. So go ahead and look up your formula while I erase this. And we will do number 1 on page 12. This cone is laying on its side. Okay, on the cone, gosh, I can't remember. Nope. Yes. Pi RS plus pi R squared. Okay. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
All righty. So surface area, notice that I wrote out the formula first so that I can make sure I plug in each piece. So surface area equals, and again, it wants 3.14, I think, times R is the radius. You check to make sure, is it for sure the radius? Yes, it is. So this R is the radius. Now S is new to us, and this is the slant height. This is the one that you guys wanted to try to use. It's the slant height. The height is here. It has to be perpendicular to the base. This is the slant height. And so we get to use 7 here. I'm going to move this down since I made a mess there. Times 2 times, now the slant height is 7 plus pi times 2 squared. We have everything plugged in, and now we just need to use your calculator to figure this out. So this part is 43.96. .56, and then when I add those two together, I will have the surface area of this cone. And again, it's area, and area is squared, inches squared. You will also see it as square inches. Okay, means the same thing. 56, 52. Yep. Okay, again, you just have to know what the shape is and find the correct formula. We have a new letter this time. The S stands for the slant height, not the H usual height. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions so far? No?
No, I
Okay,
think so.
let's move on to the spheres. Page 12 and 13 have to do with cones. Now we're at spheres. Now I would like to tackle number 2 before I come back to number 1. Notice that number 2 is a full sphere. So we're going to find the surface area of the sphere. But when we do number 1, this is the surface area of a half of a sphere. And we're going to do both of those.
Please.
Called a hemisphere. Are we good? So number 2 first. And I think, I'm just testing my memory here. I think the surface area is 4 pi r squared. Ha ha, The girls still got it. All right. So surface area, notice that I wrote the formula first. This will help you guys. Equals 4 times, again, 3.14. And I've told you this on the other videos, but make sure to only use 3.14 for pi if they tell you to in the instructions. If they don't say anything about it, use the pi button that's on your calculator because it gives a more exact answer. All right? Only use 3.14 if they tell you to. Times, and R, again, you're going to stop and say, is this really the radius or do I need to divide it by 2? It starts at the center and comes to the outside, so it's a radius. So I have 34 squared. And then, of course, just do the math. I do the exponents first. This is 1156. And now, times. So the surface area of this sphere is 14,519.36. We're working with yards as the units and its area, so it's squared. Any questions here? Is that right? You keep on checking me. I've made mistakes before. Is everybody okay with this?
Here you go. I should have put it the other way because that's going to make like a little.
Okay, now,
Thank you.
here's what I want you to do. I'm going to use this problem to show you a hemisphere. Okay, the surface area of a hemisphere. And you would think that if I found the surface area of the whole sphere, I could paint this whole ball all around. And if I cut it in half, then I just need to cut my answer in half. And that's partially true. It's partially true. So let's do this. Okay, here's our hemisphere now. Okay, it's just hemi, it's half of a sphere. Okay, hemisphere. So if I divide that answer in half, that means to divide by 2, then I get the surface area equals 7259.68. I just divided a full surface area in 2, divided by 2, and now I have half a surface area, which is almost correct, but it will never fit your answer. And here's why. Here's the whole sphere. Ugly little thing with all the tape. Here's your whole sphere, and right next to it, you see the surface area. Yeah, he's kind of upset. Okay. You see the surface area right there is 14,519.36. That's how many yards squared it would take to paint this. So now we're coming over here and we're going to divide this in half. And now we have a hemisphere, okay? And so we took the surface area and divided it in half. And this is what we got. But when we divided this by 2, that's only what it would take to paint half of the sphere. But when we cut this open, we exposed another surface that needs to be painted. So not only am I going to cut the sphere in half, that's part of the answer, but I have to add the area of this circle right here. I have to add that now that I've exposed this part to paint. So I'm not only going to take this, but I'm going to add pi r squared, which is the area of a circle. This is the area of a circle, which is my exposed part. I have to add that in to the answer. So I've got 3.14 times 34 squared. Okay, we've already done 34 squared up there. So now, 3.4 times 6. So now I have an additional 3629.84. So I'm going to add this number and this number to get the total surface area of this hemisphere. And so the surface area, this won't be on the back of your paper, but we'll do number one like I promised. And this is what your total surface area would be of a hemisphere. Just to recap really quick, if you're going to find the surface area of a hemisphere, pretend that it is an entire sphere and go ahead and find that surface area, divide it by 2 because it's only half. So make sure you divide this by 2. That's where we came up with this. We divided by 2. And then we exposed a circle. So we have to paint that circle also. So we added on pi r squared, which is the area of that circle. You have to add the 2 together to get the correct answer. Is it clear? Sort of? Questions?
I'm good.
Luanny, Allie,
Yes,
you doing
ma'am.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do number 1, and then I'm going to free you up to do the problems yourself. So, I think so. Let me look. They tell you about finding the surface area of pyramids. The formulas are on your formula chart. I want you to try them all. Okay, let's do number 1. Number 1 is a hemisphere.
Let's talk. So you're thinking for,
23 inches. And we want the surface area, and remember it's a hemisphere, not a full sphere. So, but the only way you're going to find half of the surface area is to find the whole first. We're going to pretend that this is a whole sphere, okay? So the surface area is 4 pi r squared. 4 pi r squared is the surface area. And so in this case, I have 4 times 3.14 times, get the calculator, 34 squared, 23 squared, sorry. This is 23 squared. That's what I found. Okay.
well,
Josh,
Yeah.
were you saying?
I can bring Marley in and Marley's in and the babies are outside. Well, I can go ahead and feed them since they're out there.
I don't think so.
Go that way. They don't. Okay.
And when I multiply this, I get that the surface area, and remember, it's the entire sphere, equals 6644.24. But we know we're only dealing with half of it. So let's divide this by 2. And so the surface area of the hemisphere is 3322.12. Okay? But we know now that when we sliced this sphere in half, we exposed another circle. So I'm going to have to add the area of this circle, pi r squared, equals the area of this circle. So I have 3.14 times 529. And this equals 1661.06. This is the extra surface that I'm going to need to add here. So I have 1661.06. We're going to add these. And my final answer for the surface area of the hemisphere should be 4983.18. We're dealing in inches, and we're dealing in area, which is squared. Is this correct, Lorenzo? Yes. Yes, thank you. So, do y'all understand hemisphere?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay. So you ready to tackle it? You can finish work today and this weekend. And on Monday, get excited because we're going to take these figures. We're going to take maybe a rectangular prism, put a hemisphere on top of it, and we're going to find surface area and volume. It'll be so much fun. So any questions today? And if you would like to stay on the Zoom, you're welcome, but I'm finished for today.
Okay.